Hello and welcome to the Unsung Sport podcast, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the sports you love. Today I'm joined by Amy Christophers, sports presenter, journalist, model, TV personality and award-winning social media influencer. Have I missed anything out?
No, we'll stick to that. That's good.
Great stuff, Amy. Look, thank you very much for coming on the show. I know you've covered so much in your career and we'll definitely get into that, but I'd love to just go back really and understand where your love of sport originally came from.
Gosh, I feel like my answer to this changes like every time I say a story, but is basically just in my blood. The day that I was born, well, not the day I was born, but the day that I came out of hospital, there was a home game. So I should say that my granddad founded a football club, first of all, in Cornwall. My dad was a player manager. Most of my uncles were player managers, whatever. So, yeah, the day I came out of hospital, my dad was at the football club. So my mum had to do a detour with me there to introduce me to the football club. And, yeah, that's sort of where it all began, really. Excellent. Every Saturday I'd be there watching them, and I'm such a advocate for grassroots football, and now I've moved back to Cornwall. I'm actually heavily involved with Falmouth Town Football Club as well. So yeah, I don't know, grassroots is just in my blood. I just love walking into a clubhouse and that smell of beer and all that carpet could do with a bit of a freshen up, but that's the smells we love. And then deep heat, like that. Those are the smells that I've grown up with, and yeah, you can't beat it. Real grassroots sports, I love it.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's something romantic about going into a really crappy clubhouse and some man standing there with a dog next to him watching the football. It's authentic.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not any good at grassroots sports. Let me just chuck that one out there. But yeah, I just love being in the atmosphere of it all. And then, yeah, so football was always in my blood. And then when football season was over, we had the cricket club. So we'd all go down and watch the cricket. And then we had the rugby as well. So, yeah, I mean, Cornwall is mainly known for its rugby. But for me, it was more about the football. And then it just kind of progressed from there, really. And I always knew that I wanted to be a glamour model. But then when I was doing that, I always wanted to be involved in all of the sports things. And then when I was in the sports things, I was like, I really like being this close to the action. Like being a ring girl, I was like, oh my God, you can see the sweat dripping off them, from the boxing ring or the MMA cage. And I was like, yes, this is where I want to be. And I would always be so chatty. And the fighters that I used to take out, I'd be like, sorry, blah, 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 blah. And their coaches would be like, Amy, please stop talking to them. They're in the zone. I'll be like, can I talk to them afterwards then? Yes, you can talk to them afterwards. Please don't distract them when they're getting ready for their fight. I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh, you'll be all right because I'm walking you out. You'll win. And every single fighter that I walked out won. So I was like, yeah, good energy.
The lucky charm. The lucky charm.
Yeah. And then every sports job that I was involved with when I was a model, doing promo from, doing the ring girl, grid girl, being at car shows, this, that and the other. Then I started doing betting stuff. Then I fell into horse racing, just all these things. And I just kept getting more and more involved in sport. And then I was like, yeah, just a bit of a pain, really. Everybody that I was working with, I was like, can I do some on-camera stuff? Can I ask some questions? Can I do this? And they're like, do you want to be a presenter? And I was like, yeah, I actually really would love to be a sports presenter one day. So I just sort of basically was really annoying and yeah, just sort of persisted my way into sports presenting, I guess. They kept saying no, but I was very persistent.
You've got to be. And one of my questions was going to be did you fall into that through acting or, did you take presenting classes or things? But for you, it was just that sheer persistence of wanting to get into sport.
Sheer persistence and just being curious myself. I just wanted to know everything about the sport, what makes an athlete tick, all of these things. And I still have that hunger now. I just want to get into the minds of everyone. I'm just really nosy, basically, and I just want to know how everything works. And yeah, I just like getting into the athlete's psyche, really.
Oh, that's why. Same as me. That's why I'm doing this Unsung Sport podcast. So, two peas in a pod. Coming back to something you said earlier, because I know you said you're involved in grassroots football. but not as a player. But I'm sure I see you playing goal once at the new camp. Am I wrong there?
No, you're not wrong. I did, but that's because I thought it was going to be the easiest position on the pitch and it didn't involve much running. Because even as a referee, I did my referee qualifications, and when I was being marked by the guy that comes to do, oh God, I have got ADHD, by the way. The guy that comes to like not monitor you, what's it like, to sign you off basically. Yeah. And he was stood next to my mum. Bearing in mind I was 28 when I was doing my refereeing course, and I just did it to have another string in my bow because I was doing my journalism and I was like, right, I've come from being a glamour model. You know, I'm up against some haters. They're saying I don't know anything about football, even though I've always grown up around it and whatever. And I just wanted to silence them. And I was like, well, if I'm a referee, then I know all of the laws and there's nobody that can doubt my knowledge. So I just thought I'll just do it for that. And then I thought, you know, a bit of fitness, bit of this, bit of that. You know, you get 25 quid for a game. I was like, I'm not doing it for the money, am I? And yeah, so the guy that came to check on me was sitting next to my mum, and he must have thought that I was about 16 or maybe even younger, I don't know. But anyway, and he was going, oh, you know, she's not too bad for I think he said 15-year-old or so. And my mum looked at him like that and was like, she's 28. And he was like, oh, she needs to get her fitness up though. And then my mum looked at him and thought, you're what a fine one to talk, mate. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I don't really have high hopes of being a good referee here, even though it kind of went viral and then the papers picked up on it being like, oh, you know, she's hung up her bra to, you know, get out the whistle and all of this lot. And then it sort of went viral around the world. And I had like, I think it was like even Japan and places like that asking if I would go on their like version of This Morning to talk about being a model turned referee. And apparently like then the press took over and sort of said that I want to be like in the Premier League refereeing, and I'm like, I never said that. I didn't even really want to referee. I was like, I'm just purely doing it to prove that I know my stuff. And so that was a bit of a wild time. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So basically, I'm not very fit. I don't even really like going to the gym. I'm definitely an armchair fan. However, you know, in my line of work and things, I do get a lot of opportunities, and I'm somebody that is not going to say no to an opportunity, especially when it's, do you want to play at the Camp Nou?
Yeah.
Yes. Who am I playing for? Chelsea. Yes, I'm there. Get me on the plane. So then they're like, what position do you play? And I was like, actually, I don't play football. And they're like, oh, but you played at Stamford Bridge a couple of weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I was barely on the pitch. Like, I got subbed off straight away, pretty much. And they were like, oh, well, you know, we would love to have you there. And I was like, do you want to whack me in goal then? So then I'd like, you know, I've got one job, stop the ball. And if you're aiming it at my face, I'm definitely going to stop that ball from going anywhere near me. So, yeah, that was that. And we won 9-0, actually, against Barcelona, which was pretty decent. I must say though, I did have a pretty good defence.
That helps.
But I feel like I did a very good job keeping a clean sheet, and David De Gea cannot say that. So yeah.
Excellent. It's unlike the papers to blow up a story like that as well, isn't it?
I know. I was like, oh, I want to be the next Premier League referee. I'm like, pretty sure no. I was like, I don't even want to be a referee. I literally just did it to shut up Twitter, basically.
Fair enough. And you touched upon there, obviously, your love of Chelsea. You're a Chelsea fan, I understand.
Yeah, I was there at the Bridge last Saturday for the women's game, and I was just cried pretty much. So I was there with Lindell's, and so they put us in the dugout seats. So you're literally like one seat behind the players, and you can like smell Emma Hayes' perfume, basically. And I was just like, this is absolutely fantastic. But then I just kept crying every time I saw Emma, and she turned around and I'd just be looking at her like, please don't go. I'm so gutted that she's leaving Chelsea. And yeah, I am a bit worried for the future of Chelsea Women's Football Club. But hey, you know, not everything can last forever, can it? And she's off to bigger things. But also, I really don't want her to make the American women's team better, because I wanted to go to England. Like, Not saying I want to get rid of Serena because I love Serena. However, I have heard rumours that Serena is going to be leaving soon. So I'm like, why wouldn't we get Emma Hayes in that job? I don't know. I'm not in charge of these things, but maybe the future plan is to bring Emma Hayes into the England team. I don't know.
Is maybe your future plan to move on from refereeing to football management?
Do you know what? If I had a clue about any of that sort of stuff, yeah, I think I'll be all right. Do you know what? Some of the best managers weren't very good players. Look at Jose Mourinho, Arsene Wenger, you know? So they can do it.
And do you follow the men's? Is it more sort of Chelsea women's, or do you follow the men's, or both?
Yeah, I follow the men's, although I've had a little bit of a up and down relationship with the men's team in recent times. Yeah. Basically, since Abramovich left.
Mm-hmm.
I just some of Todd's choices have been a bit questionable. I wasn't a massive fan of Potter coming in. I don't think I actually watched any game. No, I did watch a couple of games under Potter, but yeah. It was confusing times for me. I felt very conflicted.
Yeah, and how are you thinking about Pochettino? And
do you know what? I was really excited about his appointment, actually. And I think, you know, give or take a couple of bad games, you know, but I think the thing with Poch is he is sort of that project manager, isn't he? I mean, we've seen him do enough of that at Tottenham, and yeah, I believe in him, but I just wish that Todd would give him a little bit more reign of like what he wants to do, because for me, I just don't feel that Todd really knows what he's doing. No. And I don't know, Abramovich just had so much heart in Chelsea. Like, he actually cared. And Marina was amazing. I don't know. I'm still bitter about it, okay? And I'm not sure when I'm ever going to get over that. But I am trying. And actually being back at the Bridge last weekend was a start for me, to be honest. So I feel like I'm getting back in there now.
Okay, I'll move on from Chelsea. I know it's not the yes, not the best topic at the moment. So,
but I love the women. Love Chelsea women.
Yeah, that's good. I also saw, and I know you've presented not just football, but across rugby, horse racing. You touched upon cricket that you used to go to when you were little as well. What other sports have you covered?
Boxing, MMA, cricket, horse racing, NFL, MLB, NBA. Wow. Basically, like most ball sports, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then horse racing. I did dabble in a bit of I started in motorsport actually when I was younger. This is even before I broke into modelling in the big time. I started off as a place car model for banger racing.
All right.
Yeah. So I thought, I really love the smell of petrol. So I do love motorsport. And then I was doing Brisker Formula 2 as well, doing bits and pieces of that. And then, I just really wanted to be an F1 grid girl. But I'm only 5'2" and they had restrictions. So that never happened for me. Yeah. But I did other grid girl work, so that was fine. But yeah. For me, I used to go to all the car shows and stuff, and I'd be there working for Max Power and this one and that one. And then at the NEC, when it was Auto Sport, I just used to see all the F1 girls walk through and I'd be like, oh my God, they're so tall and glamorous. And I just really want to be like that. And then I was like, yeah, you're 5'2". That's never going to happen. And wasn't the right body shape because they were all very slender and like Victoria's Secret models, you know, and then there was me, short, curvy, big boobs, big bum, and it's that's not really what F1 is about. So just had to put that dream to bed, really.
You also touched upon the sort of boxing side, and again, looking way back in some of your videos, I know that you did some work with KSI, like that. You've done social media stuff with him. Obviously, now he's in boxing. As a presenter, what do you think of KSI's boxing skills?
I think, with this whole YouTubing boxing thing, at first you think, okay, it's a bit of a gimmick, they're in it for the money and things. But then, like, you see that they actually do really get the bug. And I think with KSI, you can clearly see that he really wants it. He has been training hard. And I always get the Paul brothers really mixed up.
Right.
So...
yeah, Jake's the good one.
Yeah, Jake, right. So Jake actually really wants it, and you can see that he's very good. Logan, I think he just teamed up with KSI to obviously annoy Jake. And I think he does want to be Jake, but he's not very good. So he's like, oh, I'll just team up with KSI and do this prime thing. Yeah, I just find that all a bit wild. And then you got Tommy Fury and, you know, actually a boxer. And yeah, I mean, I try not to watch too many of the YouTube fights, to be honest. But when it was KSI and Tommy, I was a bit like torn because obviously I know like both of them, and I was like, this is a bit weird because now my agent, my old agent, is now Tommy Fury's agent. So I had like a bit of a soft spot wanting like Tommy to win for like my old agent, and then it's like, but then I know KSI from back in the day, so I was just like conflicted.
And do you still keep in contact with them?
KSI, not really, no.
So he moved on big time, is he now? Big time America.
Yeah, well, I got him to take down like the videos of us because I was getting like death threats and stuff. So, plus, like that's all in the past. Like I was a Glamour model. The whole Eurogamer thing was just like, not yeah. It would be interesting though to now, obviously, because I work alongside boxing and things like that, and he's in boxing. I think because he got me in on his videos, I think it would be good if I got him doing some boxing videos for me. That would be quite good. Sit down and interview him about his boxing career.
Bit of payback. Yeah. Bit of he owes you.
KSI, if you're watching this, although I didn't slag him off, did I? No, I didn't slag him off.
No, you didn't.
No. But I'm glad that Tommy won. But hey, you know, he is a professional boxer though. If Tommy didn't win that fight, then like his career would have been over. So Definitely. It was good that he won that. But KSI, I do think out of all the YouTuber boxers, he's probably one of the best.
Yeah.
And you can see that he wants it.
Brilliant. And in terms of if somebody wanted to get into presenting, so obviously, that determination is what got you through. Is there any advice you would give somebody who wants to get into presenting?
Yeah, probably actually go to university like after school and do it like the way that they expect you to do it, and then be persistent. Obviously, I built up a lot of contacts already in sport and stuff through being a model and being around those situations. So I already had a lot of my network already there. And then I did it backwards. So I had all of the contacts, I had all the confidence, I had all of that. And I actually started presenting my own show on Sky before I'd even gone to uni and done all of that. So then I started on TV, then I started doing some radio bits and pieces. And then after that, I went and got my journalism qualifications and started writing. And it's just like, I've done this all completely the wrong way around. Most people start writing, then they go on radio, and then they end up on TV. But I did it all backwards. And especially building up the contacts and stuff. Normally you do that once you've got your qualifications. Mm-hmm. So I would say to anybody that wants to do it, go to uni, do all of that. So, you know, you're just ticking those boxes basically of the things that they're going to ask for. And then, just go for it. Be persistent. Don't take no for an answer. If one door shuts, just, you know, get a bulldozer and make your own door. Do you know what I mean?
Love it. Great advice.
Pay for the damages.
This is a question you might need to think about, but if you could have dinner with any 3 people you've interviewed, who would they be and why?
That I've interviewed? Oh, gosh.
I see some big stars on your... I see, again, looking through your Insta, things like Zola and, you know, there's some huge people on there.
Do you know what? I wouldn't choose Zola. No? I know everyone would think that would be... Yeah. He's not that chatty. It'd be a very quiet dinner.
It'd be a boring dinner.
Do you know what? I want to say Dean Saunders, actually, because he's chatty. Oh, right, Gaza.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a word in at this dinner party. Dean Saunders, Gaza, Harry Redknapp. Not getting a word in, am I?
No.
But that's fine. I'll just sit there and listen to it. And I've actually, so I now do a lot of like corporate things and whatever for like an evening with. So I actually sit down and like listen to their stories, and I am obsessed. Gaza is so good. I've got Dean Saunders and David James next week. And Harry just stories for days. Him and Gaza, like, they're on par basically with their stories. They're hilarious. But then Dean Saunders, he spills all the tea as well. So yeah. But then I already know all of their tea, so I probably have to choose other people. Maybe Thierry Henry.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Gary Lineker. Just, I don't know. It's a difficult one. If I could, can I do people that are dead?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Big Ed. You look like you were about to choke on your drink. Taking Nottingham Forest and making them European champions, like, I would just want to. I really admire him. I love him. So
yeah, and he's hilarious.
Yeah, and he is hilarious. Bobby Moore.
Oh, legend. As a West Ham fan, I'll be all over that.
I work for the Bobby Moore Foundation, so yeah, it would have to be him. Who else? I want to say a woman. This is a bit West Ham heavy now.
That's fine with me.
Karen. Got to be.
Okay.
Because she's like a role model for me. The amount of stuff that she's done for football, and I just love that she's like a woman in power and she's achieved all of these things. And I love the fact that when she first walked in, people thought that she was there to like visit somebody or this, that or the other. And like that happens to me quite a lot as well. So yeah, I would like to sit down and have a chat with her as well. So I think they would probably be my three, actually. I think that would be quite an interesting but actually very intellectual and funny dinner party.
It's a good mix.
So that would be my three, yeah. Who would be yours?
Oh, sporting ones would be tough. I mean, I don't want to nick Cluffy, but I think Cluffy just comes out with so many strange things that would be absolutely hilarious. Paolo, mine would probably all be West Ham, I'll be honest. Paolo Di Canio, because again, I just think he's another nutter. And probably Julian Dix, because again, she's just West Ham through and through. But yeah, it's boring because they're all West Ham. I know. I mean, so I haven't given that much thought, just apart from they're all West Ham.
Fair enough.
And you mentioned Harry there. I know he's full of funny stories and anecdotes and things like that. Has there been anything throughout your career, any funny moments that you can share with us?
I think I could put a lot of people out of jobs if I shared some of my funny stories, so I better not. Plus, I still want to work in sport, so I better not spill too much tea. I will just say that just before I went to play for Chelsea at Camp Nou, I saw Harry at one of his like audience with and whatever, and he's like, right, I'm telling you now, right, he's definitely going to be a Chelsea manager and all of this. And I'm like, what? He's like, Frank, he's going to be Chelsea manager. He's like, put a wad on it. Like, you won't regret it. I'm telling you now. Spoke to him earlier. He's like, yep, I'm going. I'm doing it. Like, they've asked me, blah, blah, blah. He's like, there's signing on the dotted line, all of this. And I think it was about possibly a week later that I was flying out. And then I'm there with like the media team, Chelsea. And I was like, oh yeah, I saw Harry last week. And he was like, and they were like, on the phone, and I was like, what's that? And then they were like, yeah, it's happening. Frank's literally signing like first thing tomorrow morning, and then we're taking off, and I'm like, no, I need to do my bets before we land in Spain because I can't bet over there. And I was like, I ran out of time, and I was like, oh my god, I could have made so much money. So I was really fuming about that. Other funny story, I don't know. I can't really, yeah. I feel like if I say too much, I'll get in trouble. So that's probably like That's not even a funny story though, is it? But
Try not to go. Yeah, there's a thin line you don't want to cross.
There's a thin line. Yeah,
that's fine.
I've got a lot of stories that could end people's careers by some of the sleazy things they've said and things like that, and some people have made me feel very uncomfortable at times and whatever. But one ex-footballer, I was interviewing him, so I met him 3 times actually, and this was the 3rd occasion. The first time he thought that I was just a tea girl or whatever, or an intern. And I was like, oh no, I'm actually here to like conduct the interview and like, do you want to sit down and all that? And he was just like, oh, okay. Second time, he warmed to me a little bit more, clearly didn't remember me from the first time. Third time, I would say he semi-recognised me, but then he hit on me and I was just like, okay, right, okay, this is weird. It was at one of the Writers' Dues awards thing. So I sat down to interview him and he leant in and like sniffed my neck. I was like, oh, you smell gorgeous. What is that you're wearing? And I said, oh, it's so-and-so if you want to buy it for your wife. And he was like, oh, and I went, yeah, do you want to sit down and should we get on with the interview? Third time lucky, eh? And then he was like, oh, it's you. And I went, yes, it's me. I was like, did you get your tea? Shall I get someone to make it for you? And then we had a bit of banter and it sort of broke the ice a bit, but I just thought, yeah, I'm putting you in your place, sunshine. No more of that.
We hear a lot of that goes on. Obviously, no names, but we know it goes on.
Yeah, I'm not saying any names, no, but he is quite a big person. Yeah, not size wise, but you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Legendary status.
Yeah, and you touched upon there, Frank Lampard, obviously being Chelsea manager. Is he your favourite player of all time? I know he's a lot of Chelsea fans' favourite.
Yeah, I mean him, Didier Drogba, obviously. I named my dog after Didier. Then you've got Zola. I really like Dennis Wise as well. But yeah, Frank is definitely up there. I definitely had posters of Frank on my wall growing up in my teenage years. And then, oh my God. So when I was at, I think it was the London Football Awards, he was sat with Christine and I went up and I said to Christine first, I was like, I'm really sorry, can I get a picture with Frank? She was like, oh, of course you can, or whatever. And I went, and Frank, I was like, and I'm really sorry, I think I am going to cry on your husband. And then I met Frank and I literally just like the tears, I was just like, I love you. Thank you so much for everything you ever did for us. And this is before he came to be our manager. So yeah. And then I was just like, oh my God, I've cried on our manager. Like when he became manager, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But obviously wasn't meant to be. But I don't know, maybe 3rd time lucky for him. He might come back in a few years. But I think sometimes just because you were a great player doesn't mean that you're going to be a great manager. And I think we've seen that time and time again. But yeah. Who knows? But as a person, I absolutely adore Frank.
Yeah, I think it was too soon for him. I get why he went back. If you're asked, you can't turn that down as being Frank, but just too soon for him, which is a shame.
And also being asked back, you know, he didn't have Jodie Morris with him the second time round. And I think Jodie did have a big impact on that as well. So not coming back, but I mean, the first time round, like when they were doing well at Derby and stuff, I think a lot of that was to do, he was relying on Jodie quite a bit. Yeah. So obviously Jodie had been the under 21s?
Yeah, it's definitely a long time.
So he'd been doing that role for a very long time. So he was very comfortable in coaching and whatever. So I think Frank did rely on Jodie quite a lot. And then, just didn't work out, did it? So I think that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I think he was underrated as a player as well. I know he was in the shadow of a lot of big players, but he was a good player.
Mm-hmm. It's probably because of his height.
Yeah, it doesn't help. And I know you've got. I was trying to work out your following. Actually, I was looking just on. You've well over 250,000, isn't it? Your kind of online following, probably nearer to half 500,000, which is massive. Is that about right?
Yeah, we can say that.
It's just small numbers.
How much am I paying you for this? Hype man.
So, out of all those people, who's the most? Who would you say is the most famous person you have on your Facebook, or that's ever slid into the DMs, as the kids call it?
Oh God. See, I'm not like a name. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and like name like who slid into my DMs and stuff, because yeah, that's not really my style. But I will say a funny story about, so what was it? I think it was actually when I was on maths and then everyone's got their phones back or whatever. I think it was just after the hen party actually. So we still had our phones and then we're like, oh, what's your Instagram, this, that and the other. And then like, oh my God, like so-and-so follows you and whatever. And then someone said, oh my God, Giggs follows you. And I went, oh my God, shut up, Ryan Giggs follows me. And they're like, no, Giggs the rapper. And I was like, who? I was like, oh. And they were like, you can tell your football. Literally not got a clue. I was just like, well, yeah, you say Giggs, automatically I'm going to think it's Ryan Giggs. But it wasn't, it was Giggs the rapper. So, yeah. Then I felt compelled to follow him back. And then the other week, he came out with 50 Cent. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. He follows me on Instagram.
And you've interviewed a lot of people. Have you learned anything unexpected? Is there anything you've when you've sat down with someone, they've said something, you're like, oh, wow, that was just, I have no idea.
I don't know, because there's been quite a lot of things that have like been revealed. Like, I think because when I'm chatting to people, and quite a lot of things are like off record, so I probably discover more things off record than I can say. And not only that, just like, going out, like when I was a model, my friends would be dating footballers or whatever, and then you spend a lot of time in those circles, and I think when it's taken away from like a media aspect, like you definitely get to know like more of that real person rather than just like the facade of what you see and hear about them. So definitely from that point of view, and like still now I'll still go and catch up with some friends and whatever and be in those circles. And at first I'm always a bit like, oh, aren't you a journalist or whatever? They'll like look at my Instagram and then be like, oh, be careful. And I'm like, no, like whatever you say, I won't repeat, like unless you want me to repeat it. So yeah, I think that there are quite a lot of sportsmen and women that do trust me and whatever. So I really appreciate that side of it more, that I get to know the real person and that they do trust me with that information and their story basically and whatever. So yeah, I would say I appreciate that side more of it. But like when I don't know. I don't know I don't want to like spill tea. Do you know what I mean? And like, because I've got like really good relationships with certain sports people and stuff, so I don't really want to like ever rock that, because I want them to know that I am the trustworthy one. And that's kind of why I wanted to go into journalism in the first place, because things get twisted quite a lot. And I just basically set out that I wanted to be the person that they could all come to and trust for me to bring their story out without anybody twisting it, without any of this. But now, of course, they're all just going on their Instagram, doing their own statements, this, that and the other. So things have definitely changed. But when I went into journalism, that was the route that I wanted to take. And there was a big player at Chelsea that was leaving to go somewhere else, and he promised me his exclusive, but because I was working for a certain paper, his agent was like, no chance. And I was like, you name the paper that you want it to be with, and then we'll do it with them, because I wasn't employed by that paper. I just had a column, so I was technically still freelance. And I was like, but if we hold the power by you just speaking to me, then we can get it in any paper that you want. You just let me know what it was. But then his agent went no, and then they ended up doing a story in Spain. And I was devastated, because that would have literally made my journalism career, and then I would have been just propelled into being so respected. And I was like, oh, I was really relying on that story. But yeah, you've got to respect how people feel. So yeah, there was no hard feelings. Still friends now, so it's all good.
Fair enough. And again, with journalism, you touched upon that. I think now everything is so clickbaity and online. Is it harder to actually get a real story out there, as you say, to make a name as that professional journalist, rather than just someone that writes volume clickbait articles?
Yeah, well, I mean, recently I've been doing a column for The Sun on Married at First Sight, so that has just been clickbait after clickbait, and I'm like, oh no, like I do not miss clickbait days. I am definitely more about getting people's stories and journeys out there. That's the things that I care about. So I'm hoping that I can get back into that sort of role, and yeah, just doing more interview style things and filming more things, going to meet different people from walks of life and stuff. Like, it's people that I'm interested in and their story. So yeah, hopefully I can get back into that side of things a bit more, because I was doing that before I went off to do reality TV, and everyone's like, oh, you just went up and did reality TV, and I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't looking at it like that. I just thought I was going to be a small documentary. It's lockdown, nobody's really doing anything. I'll just slip off for a couple of months, get a husband, be settled, and it'll all be great. And I don't think any of us really realised how big that show was going to become, and that it was, you know, going to be the Australian version of it and all of that. So, not that I regret it, because I made some really good friends for life from it, but it has sort of all my hard work from trying to turn people's respect for me from being a glamour model to then being a sports journalist and presenter. I've worked my ass off to be respected, and I was up there with the respect, like not up there, but you know, I was getting there. And yeah, and then I did that, and now it's just like, oh. So yeah, I've just got to build back that respect now, which is, it's been hard, to be honest. And yeah, so it's a work in progress, but I'm hoping that one day I can get back to where I was before I went off to do reality TV. And yeah, I don't like the whole reality TV star title and stuff. I'm like, no, sports presenter, sports journalist, but you know, you can't pick and choose what people call you, can you? So
fair enough. So we'll park that. I won't ask any questions on that side of it.
Yeah, we'll park that one. We'll park Jose Mourinho's bus, and we'll leave it on there.
Fair enough. So again, I guess you're trying to get back into, is it more journalism, presenting, or both, or anything? What's your kind of aim?
So I would love to do like all three, basically. I would love to have, well, I'm obsessed with TalkSport. I absolutely love TalkSport. And I feel that I would love to be on the sports bar with Jamie O'Hara, and Jermaine Pennant does it as well. So yeah, like I know those two. Dean Saunders does it like now and again as well. So I'm just more about like the bantery stuff, and I just think I could definitely hold my own on that show and probably make a mockery of Jamie, bless him. Someone's got to take the piss out of him. Do you know what I mean? So I think I'm what better person for the job. I could definitely do it. Yeah, so I think something like that, like once a week, going on there as like a guest, like / co-host or whatever. I would love to do something like that. Soccer AM would have been my perfect presenting job. Obviously, that's gone now. So something similar to that, and then doing something quite serious as well. I'd like to do documentaries. There's loads of different things that I like to do, basically. So a bit of on-camera stuff, then a bit of radio. And yeah, I would like to have a column back, maybe in a magazine or in one of the papers again. That would be nice. So yeah, just that whole like media threesome of, you know, camera, radio, and then writing would be absolutely fabulous. And then to work on a World Cup or one of the Euros, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. And you never thought about doing a podcast, or have you done a podcast yourself?
Well, I did do a podcast before. Walked into a bar, and there was me, a Chelsea fan, there was an Arsenal fan and a Spurs fan. We did a little bit of that, and then everybody's job sort of just got in the way a little bit. Then I had Jermaine Pennant on, and then we thought about maybe doing something, but then lockdown happened, and I don't know, timing. Life just happens and stuff, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I would like to do a podcast, but I think there's just so many out there. It's like, how do you stand out? So I don't know. I have thought about it though. I might do one in horse racing though, because there's the football market is very saturated, so perhaps I might do it in horse racing. And I've got a couple of other girls that I know from working in horse racing as well. So we thought about maybe doing a little something next year. So yeah, we'll just have to watch this space. But next year, I'm definitely going to be more proactive. I'm just putting all of the Married at First Sight stuff behind me and just want to get back to it now.
Yeah.
And be taken seriously again.
2023.
I've been turning down premiers left, right, and centre, and opportunities for this, that, and the other. So I'm just like, no, I just need to knuckle down and get back into my sport and be taken seriously. So, yeah.
Sure, you'll smash it. Amy, where's the best place for people that don't follow you, and a lot do, but where's the best place for people to follow you online?
So on every single platform, I am ThatSportSpice.
Awesome. Great stuff. Amy, thank you for being an unsung hero of sport. It's been really interesting. I've loved having you on. I love your energy. I'm sure you're going to smash it in 2024. I look forward to seeing what that holds for you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Mark. And I wouldn't say that I'm really unsung sport because I don't play any, but hey ho. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Do you know what? It's on my CV. I'm never taking it off.
I wouldn't. Hackney Marshes is my level, and it will never get any better.
It's in my Twitter bio too.
Take it. Own it. Thank you very much, Amy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.